Guys, okay, so I'm writing a paper right now about disenfranchisement, the allowing of voting rights in America, basically. And I'm writing it specifically about ex-convict disenfranchisement in America. And this is because there are only two states that, Vermont and Maine, that allow you to have the right to vote while you're still in prison. There are other states that take it away while you're in prison. Some states take it away while you're in prison and parole. But there are also a good amount of states that take away your right to vote at all if you were ever a felon. And I know some of you are probably going to disagree with me on this, but over the course of writing this essay, not disagree with me on this next part, I'm going to say, but disagree with me on the disenfranchisement part and how blah, 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 doesn't matter. But anyway, so, first off, denying someone the right to vote is basically saying they're not a citizen. In America, anyway. Because voting is a basic right to an American citizen. So if you take it away, you're not a citizen. And I could see where it would be coming from if exclusively it was taken away from people in prison or still serving some form of sentence outside of prison. Because part of their punishment is being distanced from regular society. And regular society is allowed to vote. Okay? Now that is the one exception I could see. One. The problem is, people are denied the right to vote once they have served all of their sentence. All of it. I will link the essay in this if someone wants to disagree with me. I will also link my 8 different sources. Oh my gosh, these are crazy intense sources and they're so fun to read for me. So, yeah. Anyway, there's just a lot of problems with it and not allowing people the right to vote. But while writing this paper, I already agreed with all of this, but it has become incredibly clear that denying people the right to vote while they are in prison or serving some form of sentence, or even out of prison and no longer serving a sentence, is an economic and racial issue. Because disproportionately, people in prisons are people with low income or people of color. That all derives back to a whole prison system I could talk about, which is basically the poorer you are, the more likely you are to commit crimes, and you're more likely to commit crimes such as theft or whatever, or drug because you're poor, which all derives from lack of education, because then you're going to be stuck in this cycle, and because of racism and still segregation in America, it is more likely that people of color are going to live in the poor areas because of segregation, because of how it's been for years, and how the education in those areas never improved from the civil rights movement. Hey, good job, America. I'm happy with you. Oh gosh. Okay. But, gosh, can I just turn this in for my essay? This video of rage? So much rage. Anyway, so it all cycles back down to racist and economic issues of America being horribly dumb and not knowing how to make its education system better or improve the prison system so people have a better chance of getting out of prison and not going back in, and America's racist. I mean, do you see who we have running for president? That's a whole nother can of worms. Or is it? I don't know. Okay, I need to get back to this essay soon. But the disenfranchisement of ex-cons is racist and economically biased towards rich people also, and white people, because you're more likely to have a longer prison sentence, or even be given a prison sentence and not just a large fine for a crime like drug crimes or theft if you are a person of color or if you don't have a good enough lawyer, so low income. So, because of this, there are less people with lower income and less people of color that are allowed the right to vote in America because of the horrible disenfranchisement and because of the horrible racism and segregation in America. And there's so many problems with America, guys. And, oh gosh. Oh, I'm smiling, but I am seething on the inside, seething. I am so angry right now. How? Why, America? Why? This is horrible. Downright horrible. This all cycles back to poverty and lack of education and racism in America. They're all connected because you wouldn't have... Okay, first, with education, it's connected because education is funded by not your income, your housing tax. And your housing and income tax is, your housing tax is based on the education in the city. So if the education is bad, the income tax is going to be bad. So the schools are going to get less money. And if the income tax is good, and then that means the schools are good, so those schools are going to get more money. And then how the states distribute it is based on the school's performance. So the schools that perform better get more money, so the so the housing tax goes up. And so those schools keep getting better, and the schools that are doing poor keep getting worse, and they keep going more into poverty. And because poverty is a direct connection to education, because if you don't have a good education, you're not likely to be able to get a nice job. It's so obvious to me. But then this all also cycles back to segregation and racism, which impacts it because of segregation. Years ago, guys, this was supposed to be solved years ago in America, and it wasn't. It wasn't. There is still segregated areas in the country where disproportionately people of color live in lower income areas because that's where their families lived way back whenever. And so those schools have never had the chance. Those areas have never had the chance to have better schools and never had the chance to get out of poverty because the way the system works is housing tax, education, housing tax. And then that all cycles back down to racism. And so that's why you get just, Okay. I feel better after ranting, but oh my gosh, guys. I didn't even realize until I started writing this essay and reading all these that you could connect ex-convict disenfranchisement back to my whole thing about education, racism, and poverty in America. It's ridiculous. America is ridiculous. I'm furious. I'm furious. And I'm sorry to go on this very yelly rant, but this essay isn't going to be enough for me. This isn't going to change things, this essay, but I want to be able to change things. I want to help change things in America, and maybe this video will help. I love you guys. I'm sorry I got very yelly, but I'm also not. This is an important topic. I hope. Don't vote for Trump. Goodbye.